There is a member of this channel who is extremely smart. I mean, this lady is very clever because she made me see something that I had not seen before. And I'm sure most of you out there had not seen it. And those who have not seen a comment here on this channel, I'm sure they've also not seen it. Let me not keep you in suspense anymore. Let me just tell you what it is. Yeah. Now, this is about the last telephone conversations that the late Sharon Otieno had with the governor of Obado, and text messages as well. Now, the timelines indicate clearly that these messages and these telephone conversations happened after Sharon had already been kidnapped, by the people who ended up murdering her. Now, just think about it. You've already kidnapped somebody whom you intend to murder, and then you allow her to make telephone calls, and then you allow your victim to send text messages? Hiyo kali, tena kali sana. Because they can easily make distress calls. They can easily send messages crying out for help, or even giving clues as to the identity of the people who have kidnapped her. However, in this case, Sharon's abductors had no problem with her calling the governor, Governor Obado of Migori. They were not worried about her contacting the governor. Now just join the dots. Why were they not worried with her talking to the governor? I believe this is very damning evidence against the governor. Now let's move to another group of people who are the exact opposite of this smart lady on this channel. People who are dumb. People who are very, very slow. It could be an individual or maybe a group of people. Okay? But it doesn't matter. These people are not clever. Or this person is not clever at all. You remove money from your pocket or from your bank account, and it's not small money. And then you sponsor a group of people, from Migori County to travel all the way from Migori to Nairobi. Purpose of their trip? To demonstrate in solidarity with Governor Obado. Now, there are many reasons, or rather there are several reasons, why this is the dumbest thing anybody can ever think of doing. But I'll give you just one. You are doing these demonstrations when the court is considering whether or not, to grant Governor Obado bail. Are you serious? Do you want your man to be released on bail? Really? Because what you're doing is may frustrate his chances of being released on bail. And to make matters worse, this procession of protests, are abusing and hurling insults at a dead young lady. A dead young lady who died in a most brutal manner. In fact, this group of protesters made life very difficult for the parents of Sharon Otieno. They had to use a back entrance to leave the court, when the governor first appeared before the court on Monday. Not only that, the grieving parents who are still mourning for their dear daughter had to be given police escort to leave the court safely. Oh boy. Now the question I would ask myself immediately is the following. If these people are behaving like this when the governor is behind bars, how will they behave, especially towards witnesses, and especially towards those people who may seem to be on the other side of Governor Obado? When the governor is released on bail, how will they behave? I think you get my drift. Now I need to tell these protesters and those who finance them, or the person who financed them, that this trial is not about Sharon Otieno's character. The late Sharon Otieno's character and morals are completely irrelevant in this particular case. But even more significant, these protesters have shown us very clearly how things are run in Migori. This is not politics, yeah? And a court of law will not respond to political pressure. And this is why this very stupid move hurts the governor's defense. It does not help his case. Very sadly, these demonstrators confirm what we have heard, what we have seen in the past, and what we are being told about how things were running in Migori. Because we have been told of armed militias, or rather armed young men, who were causing chaos in the county, threatening and intimidating anybody who looked like they were opposing the governor, Governor Obado. In other words, the county was being run mafia style. Now we'll go for a very brief break. When we come back, I will tell you something absolutely fascinating. Don't go away. Now, Sharon Otieno's mother has given us a piece of new information that many people missed. In accusing Governor Obado, in accusing him of betraying her late daughter, Mama Sharon has told us that Sharon loved the governor very much. Love inatoka wapi? Because according to most Kenyans, this was a clear sponsorship deal of a young lady wanting to make money from a rich, powerful governor. Period. But Sharon's mother is telling us that it was more than that. Now, I don't think Mama Sharon is in a position to tell lies. She would have absolutely no motive for lying to the public. And in any case, at the time she released this information, she was in a very emotional state. She was crying. So you had better believe it, Sharon must have loved Obado. Now, what makes this even more interesting is that the governor said that he too loved Sharon. And we have to believe him, because you don't just spend money on a woman, if you don't have any feelings for her, That is against human nature. Men don't behave like that. Men tend to spend huge sums of money, and promise women to buy them houses in cases where they have very strong feelings for those women. And then we also need to consider the fact that Sharon got pregnant. Now, in this day and age, there are very many ways of preventing pregnancy. We even have a magical pill called the morning after, where a woman has very many hours, indeed 48 hours later, if they suspect they could get pregnant, they can safely take these pills and they will not get pregnant. And so, an accidental pregnancy, which is what most Kenyans are assuming, an accidental pregnancy in this day and age is highly unlikely, especially for somebody who has been admitted into a university, that level of intellect. Now, don't get me wrong, yeah, accidents still do happen. What I'm saying is that it is unlikely, not impossible, unlikely, and very highly unlikely. And Sharon getting pregnant would seem to suggest, yeah, or rather to confirm, that what Mama Sharon is saying is true. Sharon loved the governor a lot. I find it very interesting that many Kenyans don't seem to understand human nature. They don't have any interest in understanding human nature. Because I've seen so many comments, yeah, about this case that completely ignore human nature. Now, admittedly, this is one of the things that always puzzled me about my political lecturer. You see, my political lecturer was a policeman, he was a police officer. And it greatly amazed me that a police officer who had climbed up the ranks to such a high level did not understand human nature. And I strongly believe from the bottom of my heart, and I'm totally convinced, had my late political lecturer been a person who understands human nature, he'd still be alive today. His failure to understand human nature cost him his life because he did not die a natural death. He was murdered. But that is a story for another day. My apologies because I now have left you in suspense. Yeah, but then this is a subject and a topic that still gets me very emotional many years later. Anyway, let me tell you a story to illustrate the point I'm trying to drive forward concerning Sharon Otieno's pregnancy. There is this married woman I know very well, and she started having an affair with another man who was also married. And she ended up falling in love with this other man. And this woman's husband was rich, yeah, but the man she fell in love with was not. And this married woman came up with the idea of getting pregnant from her boyfriend. And the whole idea was that her husband would take care of this child without being aware of what was happening. Mercifully, her husband discovered this affair before she actually could get pregnant. Now, my point is, this woman was not crazy. She was just being a woman. Because this is precisely the way Almighty God wired women. Yeah, you love a man and you gladly get pregnant and bear his children. Being in love and bearing children for a man, the man you're in love with, is very natural. That is the way human beings were wired. That is human nature. Almighty God created a woman to fall in love with one man, yeah, and to have the babies of one man. Now, when you mess up with God's plan, yeah, you don't expect a woman to suddenly be rewired and start behaving differently. When you introduce a third party, yeah, what do you expect? It's very interesting how people interfere, yeah, with the manufacturer, yeah, and then expect to get away with it. For instance, you have imported a vehicle from Japan, yeah, from the manufacturers of Toyota. And then when it gets into the country, you tell yourself you're very clever, yeah, because you have so much potholes, you need more clearance for your vehicle. So you raise the suspension. You tell yourself you're being clever, yeah, because you're raising the clearance of your vehicle to deal with the potholes in the country. But what you have actually done is that you have interfered with the balance of that particular vehicle, the very delicate balance of modern vehicles. And so you're at high speed, yeah, and you swerve just very slightly to avoid a pothole, and then your vehicle overturns. Surely, what did you expect? Yeah, you you behaved as if you are cleverer and you know more than the people who actually manufacture the vehicle. And I believe insurance companies nowadays, yeah, have huge issues with people who have messed up with their or adjusted their clearance, yeah, for vehicles. They will not cover such accidents. And it is the same way with life and human nature. Yeah, the manufacturer, the person who created us, you and me, the person who created, invented, manufactured human beings, did this careful wiring inside a human being. So if you break his laws, if you decide to do things differently, or in a modern way, as I hear people saying, what do you expect? Yeah? You will get nothing but disaster, tragedies. Anyway, the long and short of what I'm trying to say is that I believe Mama Sharon when she says her daughter was deeply in love with the governor, the married governor. Very sadly, had she not been in love, I believe she would still be alive today. Had it been a pure sponsorship deal, she'd still be alive today. But she fell in love. In my view, there are very many lessons to be learned from this very sad, tragic, and unfortunate story of this lady called Sharon Otieno. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.